Hello and welcome to part 4 of the chapter on Python fundamentals. Okay, so today's topic of discussion will be accepting inputs and variation in print statement. So till now we know only one form of writing the print statement, but it can be used in a variety of ways, and we will also learn how to take input from the user so that we can produce some dynamic output. So let's begin with the concept of a variable. So what is a variable? A variable may be defined as a named storage location whose values can be manipulated during program run. So you already know about the concept of variables from mathematics. So what is a variable? So let's say we have a function fx equals to 2x plus 4. Here x is called as the variable. So what is x? X is a variable. Okay. Why do we say x is a variable? Because in place of x we can put different values at different intervals of time. But 2 and 4, can we say 2 and 4 to be variables? No, we cannot say 2 and 4 to be variables because their values cannot be changed anytime. Okay, since their values cannot be changed, so 2 and 4 are referred to as constants, while x is called as a variable because its value can be changed from time to time. For example, in place of x, if I put 1, then what will be the output? The output will be 6. If I put 2, the output will be 8, and so on. Similarly, in Python also we have the concept of variables. It is a named storage location whose values can be manipulated during program run. The meaning of the word manipulated means it can be changed during program run. What is the syntax of creating a variable? You can create it by the following syntax. Now, what is the meaning of the word syntax? Syntax means the rules which are to be followed in a programming language. So for example, if I want to create a variable with the name as name, and we want to assign Rahul to the variable name, then we can write it as name equals to Rahul or name equals to Rahul within single quotes or double quotes. If I want to create an integer variable, I can write a equals to 5. If I write a equals to 6.5, it will create a sorry, I have written here by mistake. It will create a floating point variable. And how can we see the data type of a variable? The data type of a variable can be used by can be seen by the type function. So if I write the type function and within that if I include the variable name, then I can see the data type of the variable. For example, if I write name equals to Rahul, and after that if I want to see the data type of the variable name, then what I can write? I can write type name and I'll be getting the answer. Let's try to implement these things practically and see. So if I write name, so it can be written in caps also, but still I'll avoid it. If I write name equals to Raj, now name has the value of Raj, and if I want to check the data type, so the data type is a string. Now the same variable name can be used for storing an integer also. If I write name equals to 7, and now if I do print name, now I'll get the value as 7. So variable is something whose values can be changed during program run. Now we'll see different ways in which variables can be assigned different values. So first is assigning values to more than one variable at a time is called multiple assignment. So we'll begin with the concept of multiple assignment. If I want to assign values to more than one variable at a single time, then I'll use the concept of multiple assignment. So let's say I have three variables x, y and z, and all the three variables needs to be assigned the same value, which is 3. So there is one way where I can do x equals to 3, y equals to 3 and z equals to 3. What's the other way? But this is not an efficient way. What's the efficient way? The efficient way is this. If I write x equals to y equals to z equals to 3, automatically all the three variables will have the value of 3. Let's try to. So also one more thing should be learned here, which is codes must be optimized as far as possible. Okay, so we must try to not just code it in the most efficient manner. So this is case 1, which is assigning same value to multiple variables. Let's try to implement it and see. So let's say we have three variables, x equals to 8, let's say y equals to 8 and z equals to 8. So we want that all the three variables x, y and z should have the same values. Can I see, is it working or not? Yes, okay, I can see it. So if I just write like this, print x comma y comma z, then I'm getting 8 space 8 space 8. That means our code is working. Now instead of this, the efficient way would be writing x equals to y equals to z equals to 8. This is called assigning the same value to multiple variables. Also, now if I write print x comma y comma z, then I'll get the same result. That means both the codes work, but this is a more efficient manner of assigning values to a variable. Let's go to the next case, which is called as the case 2. Case 2 deals with assigning multiple values to multiple variables. That means here we'll be dealing with how to assign different values to different variables but at the same time. Now till now we know about this way itself. If I want to assign A, B and C three values 6, 2 and 1, then I can do it in this way, but this is not an efficient way. The efficient way would be A comma B comma C equals to 6 comma 2 comma 1. Okay, so here if I, let's say I want to see the value of B, then I can just write print B, then I'll get the output as how much? I'll get the output as 2. Let's try and to implement it. So now I'm going to take different values for different variables. If I write A equals to 9, B equals to 8 and C equals to, let's say, 7. So if I write here print A comma B comma C, I'm getting the values for these variables A, B and C, but this is not an efficient manner. So if you want to assign multiple uh, values to multiple variables, then the efficient way would be in this manner: A comma B comma C equals to 9 comma 8 comma 7. That means A will be assigned the value 9, B will be assigned the value 8 and C will be assigned the value of 7. So let's try to display the value of C. If I just write print C, I'll get the output as how much? I'll get the output as 7. Let's go to our next concept, which is defining a variable. So a variable is defined only when we assign some value to it. Okay, so in the Python programming language, we have to define the value first before using it. Using an undefined variable in an expression statement causes an error. So without defining a variable, we should not try to use it. A variable can only be used after it has been defined. Let's see what I mean by these statements. So let's say I'll write x equals to 99 and I'm writing here how much? Print x. So it's fine, I'm getting the output as how much? I'm getting the output as 99. But here if I write print z, okay, z I have already given. If I write print, let's say f, then I'm getting an error. What's the error? Error is the name error. Name f is not defined. That means without defining the value for f, I'm trying to use it. So never try to use a variable before defining it. So sometimes in a big program you might get such an error. Then you should understand that f should have a value before trying to print it up. So now if I just assign f the value of 33 and then I use the code printf, then it's absolutely fine. So don't use a variable before defining it. First you define it, assign it some value, only then you can use it. Or you can also use it with the help of input statement, which we shall be discussing after a few minutes. Next we come to the concept of dynamic typing. It is one of the most useful features of the Python programming language, which is not available in most of the other programming language. Dynamic means, what is the meaning of the word dynamic? Dynamic means something which is always changing. So a variable pointing to a value of a certain type can be made to point to a value or object of different type. This concept is known as dynamic typing. For example, if I have x and now if I write x equals to 10, then x will be pointing to what? X will be pointing to 10. Then what I can do in the next moment, I can write x equals to hi. What is x now? X is a string now. After that, what I can do, I can write x equals to 4.5. Now x will have the value of float. So what we can say, we can see that a variable in Python can be assigned different data types of values at different times, and even then it will not show any error. For example, let's say I'll take a variable I equals to 9. Okay, so if I display I'll get the value of 9. So if I write I equals to 7.3 and display I, now as I is taking the value of 7.3. Now if I take I equals to hello, now I am trying to assign string, but also it is taking the value for I as a string now. That means we can take the same variable and use it for different purposes. This is a unique feature of the Python programming language, and this concept is known as dynamic typing. So what is dynamic typing? A value can be assigned a variable can be assigned different values, different data type of values at different times without raising an error. This concept is known by the name of dynamic typing. Next, we'll go to the main topic of discussion of today's video, which is accepting values from the user. So till now we did not learn how to accept any value from the user, but now we'll learn how we need to accept values from the user. I'll be showing it to you practically, don't worry about that. So for accepting values from the user, we use a function. The name of that function is the input function. By default, Python accepts the values as strings even if we enter a numeric value. So let's try to give you an example for that. Now, why accepting values from the user is required? Let's say I'll give a equals to 9, b equals to, let's say, 2. And if I want to find out the sum of this, so what I can do, I can just write c equals to a plus b, and then of course I can do it through a more efficient manner, but as you are a beginner, I'm just giving you the longer form. So I can just write print c. So let's say I'm running it for the first time. I'm getting the answer as 11. Obviously 9 plus 2 is 11. If I'm running it for the second time, then also I'm getting the result as 11. If I'm running it for the third time, then also I'm getting the result as 11. Now if I want to add different numbers, then I need to do the changes in the program itself. Let's say I'll write here, instead of a, in place of a I'll write 5, and in place of b I'll write 3, and then I'll save it and then I'll run the program. Now I'm getting the result as 8. But this is not an efficient manner. Why it is not an efficient manner? Because the layman or the people who will use your software will not see your source code. For example, I think all of you have used an ATM software, ATM machine. There, whatever you are seeing, that is just the user view. In the back end of all the apps that you use, all the softwares that you use, there are some codes like this. But the users will be able to see only the output. So if I write such a program for the user, then the user will get the same value at all periods of time, which is not an efficient manner. So what I can do, I can write the software in such a manner so that it can take different values at different intervals of time. Let's try to understand it in a bit details. So I can give a command here and write here like uses of input function. Okay, so if I write here x equals to, so for receiving values from the user, we'll use the input function. So I'll write x equals to input, then within braces, if I can give an instruction like enter your name, and then I can just give an instruction like print hello. So whatever we write within quotes in the print statement will be displayed as it is. If I want to display the value of a variable, then after the quotes I need to give a comma and then write the variable name without using quotes. So if I just save it and just run it, I'm getting the output as enter your name. See, it is not showing me my name now. It is waiting for me to give the name. That means it is waiting for some inputs. So for giving inputs, you have to use a function that the name of that function is called input function. So if I write my name here as Bhargav and then press the enter key, then the next line will be processed, which is hello x. That means what is the value stored in x now? The value stored in x is Bhargav, so I am getting the result as hello Bhargav. So if I run it for the second time, let's say someone's name is Raj, so he or she will write Raj and press the enter key, so I'm getting the result as Raj. So it's very beneficial if you use the input function. Why? Because with the help of input function you can generate dynamic outputs, which is the need for most of the softwares. Okay, here you are not getting the same output every time. So instead of input function, if I just write it like this, I'll just put it as a comment so that it will be ignored. If I write x equals to Bhargav, okay, and then run it, I'm getting hello Bhargav. Next time also I'm getting the same output, and the third time also I'm getting the same output. So is this code more efficient or the previous code was more efficient? The previous code was more efficient. Why? Because with the previous code we were getting different outputs as per the input every time. So therefore the input function is very beneficial. Now one very interesting thing about input function is that by default it will accept everything as a string even if you give a numeric input. For example, here let's say enter your name, let's say I'll give the input as 12 and press the enter key. I'm getting hello 12. Now if I want to see the data type of x, so if I just write type x, then I'm seeing the data type as what? I'm seeing the data type as string. But is 12 a string? It is not a string. It is a what? It is a numeric value. That means it should have been shown as an integer, but it has been shown as a string. So by default, input function takes everything as a string. So in order to take numeric input, we need to use two different functions. Those functions are called int and float. So I'll be explaining it here. So for accepting numeric values as input, int function and float functions are used along with the input function. So for accepting integer values, we have to use the int function along with the input function. For accepting values containing a decimal point, we need to use the float function. What is the syntax for that? So if I want to take a string as an input, I'll use the syntax variable name equals to input, then within braces and within quotes I need to write the string. So this is used for strings as an input. If I want to use an integer as an input, then I have to modify the input function as follows. I have to enclose the entire input function within the first bracket, and before that I have to write the int function. Similarly, for taking decimal values as input, I have to enclose the input function along with the prompt string within the float function. Okay, so with the help of that, let's try to add two numbers. Okay, so let's say I'll be learning to add two numbers in Python using the input function. Okay, so here I can write the program name like addition of two numbers. So if I write x equals to input, enter the first number, I'll just give a what, I'll just use the colon here and then I'll just copy and paste it. So for the first number I need to store it in a variable, so I'm taking the variable x. For the second number I need to store it in a variable, let's take a variable y, and here I'll just change the command like enter the second number. Now let's say I'll take a third variable called z, and there I'll store the value of x plus y. So what I have written, z equals to x plus y. That means the first value will be received here, the second value will be received here, and it will be added, and the final result will be stored in which variable? In the variable z. So what z will do? Z holds the final value. Now if I want to display the output, then I need to use the print function, okay, or so you can write here the sum of, so if I want to do it more dynamically, I can write the sum of comma x. So x is a dynamic variable. Therefore what I'll do, I'll enclose it outside the quotes. X and y is, where is the final value stored? The final value is stored in the variable z. So what I'll be writing here, I am writing here as z. And then what I'll do, I'll just run it and see what comes. So as I run it, it is asking me for the first number. Let's say I'll give 9. It is asking me for the second number. Let's say I'll give 3. So what I am seeing? I am seeing that the sum of 9 and 3 is 93. But is the sum of 9 and 3 93? No, the sum of 9 and 3 is not 93. But why is it coming as 93? Can you guess? It is coming as 93 because the input function by default receives everything as a string. That means 9 has been received as a string, 3 has been received as a string, and if we add 2 string, it will simply join the strings. This property is known as concatenation. I'll be discussing more about concatenation in the chapter on strings. But now you have to remember that if I use the plus symbol with strings, then it will just join the 2 strings. That means what it is doing, it is just joining the 2 strings, which is 9 and 3. So I am getting the output as 93. But is this the correct output? This is not the correct output. We want the actual addition of the numeric values 9 and 3. So for that, what I need to do, I need to convert these strings into integers. So for that, what I can do, before the input function, I have to enclose it within in function. So I have just started the bracket here and I'll just end the bracket here. Similarly, for the second line of output, I'll just write here by starting the bracket and I'll end the bracket here. Okay, now let's run and see. So enter the first number, I'll give the same set of inputs as the previous input. Enter the first number I've given as 9, enter the second number, let's say I'll give as 3. Now I'm getting the correct output, which is the sum of 9 and 3 is 12. Okay, therefore you should understand that by default input receives everything as a string, but if we want to convert it into numeric values, we have to do it accordingly. If you want that it should be integers, then use int. If you want that it should be decimal values, then use float. Now one interesting thing is that, so if you are unsure about the fact whether it will be integer or floating point values, then you should use it as a float. For example, let's say here if I run it and write enter the first number, if I write 9.1, then I am getting an error. Why I am getting an error? Because 9.1 is what? 9.1 is a fractional value. Therefore, for receiving fractional values, I need to use float in place of int. Now there is another advantage of using float, which is float can receive not only the fractional values but also the integer values. Let's see if I've given the float function here. Let's say I'll be giving 9.1. Now there is no error because I've used the float function. Enter the second number. Let's say I'll be giving 2.3. I'm getting the output here. Now let's say, if you want to use integers, float is fine with integers also. If I just write enter the first number 9, enter the second number 3, you will get the answer as the sum of 9 and 3 is 12. Okay, that means if there is a possibility that the variable should take floating point values also and integer values also, you should use float. But if you are sure that it will definitely take an integer value, only then you should take int. I hope the addition of two numbers is clear. So in this way, what we can do, we can receive the values from the user with the help of the function called input. So what is the advantage? The advantage is that we can take different values at different intervals of time without making any changes in the program code. So this is how we take an input from the user. Let's go to the next topic, which says SCP argument in print. Let's see what it is. So this argument is used along with print to specify the separator character. By default, the separator character is a single space. Uses is, so you will understand it better with the help of an example. So if I write print python comma is comma fun, then in place of comma, what it will do, it will just leave a space, as you can see from the output here. But if I write print python comma is comma fun comma scp equals to triple dot, that means by default it will take as a space, but if I want to use different thing other than space, then I have to specify it using the scp argument in print function. So what is argument? Argument is some additional information with the existing function. So here after Python, what is coming? These three dots are coming. Let's try to implement it and show it to you. So if I write print hello comma students, okay, and I'll just press the enter key, I'm getting the output as hello students. But after this, if I want that not just space, I want to display something else. Let's say I want to display an exclamation mark here after this one hello, then what I can do, I can just put it within the shape argument. Let's say I want to put some explanation marks, then what I'll do, I'll write it within SCP. Then I'll press the enter key. So what I'm getting, instead of, in place of comma, I'm getting this exclamation marks. So here if I give like comma and write something here, let's say mvm, and then press the enter key, then you can see that after, in place of each comma, instead of a space, what I am getting whatever is written within SCP. Okay, I hope you have understood about the SCP argument. It is used to specify the separator character, and by default it is nothing but a space. Let's see the next argument in print function, which is the end argument. This argument is used along with print to specify the end character. So what is end character? After one print function, if I write a different print function, then it will automatically come in the next line. But if you want something else to happen, then we'll be using the end argument in print function. So by default, the end character is a new line character /n. You should know that new line, for giving a new line character, we use /n. I'll be showing it to you practically. So what's the uses? How is the uses? So if I write print and Python is fun, this is the source code. Source code means the programming codes which we write in Python, and this is the output. Now instead of that, if I write after hi, if I give comma and write end equals to $, then what will happen? Instead of coming in the next line, in the output you will see that $ will come. By default, the end character is a new line character, but what we can do, we can put something else instead of a new line character. Let's try to understand it here. So if I write print, okay, I have to show it to you in the script mode. So let's create a new program and write print hello print hi. I'll just save it by the default name and just run it. So what you are getting, hello then hi. So but if I use the end argument, end equals to, let's say I'm using here ##, that means now instead of the default argument, which is a new line, what will come, as you can see in the output, hello hash hash, then hi has come here. Okay, I hope you have understood about the end character. By default it is a new line, but you can change it to display anything else other than the new line. So here I talked about something known as a slash n. Let's try to show you what slash n means. So here, if I write enter the first number, the cursor is flashing just beside the colon. So if I write 9, and in the front of the second one also the cursor is coming just after the colon. So if I write 6 here, so I'll get the answer as 15. But let's say I'll give a slash n here, I'll give a slash n after the second one also. And in the second number, in the second variable, let's say after the word da, I'm giving slash n. So wherever you give slash n, automatically that line will break and the cursor will come to the next line. So let's run it. So now you can see the difference. Enter the first number and the cursor is being displayed in the next line. So let's say I'm giving 9. Now see, after the word da, I have given a slash n. That means what has happened, the line has been terminated here and the other outputs, which is the second number, has been displayed in the next line. After colon, I have given slash n again, therefore the cursor has been finally displayed in the line below. Let's say I'll give here the output as 6, so I'll get the answer as 15. So slash n is used for a new line character. Now, as you have learned how to use the input function, you should try this program yourself, which is a program to find the area and perimeter of a rectangle using the input function. That means you should ask for the length, you should ask for the breadth, and after that the area and perimeter should be displayed. This is your assignment for the day. Okay, thank you very much. I hope that this session was useful. Thank you very much.